Hi, good day everyone. With me again, Lady Trialdi in Introductory Macroeconomics class. In this video, we'll be talking about production and economic growth in economy. The three things here basically are what I'm going to explain. Hopefully it will be clear afterward what the sources of economic growth are and what the government can do to promote as well as to achieve a sustainable economic growth. In many literatures, we know that the standard of living in every country is different. But one thing for sure, countries with higher per capita income tend to have better standards of living. They enjoy better nutrition, housing, health services, life expectancy, and other quality of life. How to catch up with the richer countries? How to maintain the higher standard of living? Basically, a country's standard of living depends on its ability to produce goods and services, depend on the productivity of the people, the labor. To find out the determinants of productivity, we can start by identifying the general economic production function. It can be expressed like this, similar to the production function of a firm in microeconomics. And with constant return to scale assumption, we can get the production function like this by dividing all the factors of production and hence also the output level with number of labor L. From the production function, now we know the sources of economic growth, especially in the long run. They come from the availability of the factors of production here. That includes even labor, as we will explore later, as well as the level of technology. People with more skills, more physical capital, more natural resources, and more technological knowledge should be able to produce higher. Therefore, any government policies to promote economic growth basically are intended to increase the productive capacity of the economy. Government policies to encourage domestic saving and investment are intended to produce a larger stock of capital in the economy. Higher capital to labor ratio leads to higher productivity and accordingly to achieve higher economic growth in the long run. The use of domestic savings to finance investment, however, may pose a problem. More savings result in greater investment, but at the expense of current consumption. The scarce resources used to produce consumer goods are diverted to produce capital goods. Therefore, the growth that arises from capital accumulation in the future requires the society to sacrifice the consumption of goods and services in the present. That is why many economists advocate policies that encourage investment also but from abroad, whether it is in the form of FDI, the long-term investment, or in the form of short-run portfolio investment. Foreign investment is also encouraged because it not only increases the economy's stock of capital, but also absorbs more labor, increases wages, and improves production technology. But of course, that's not always the case. Without good and strong regulation and institution, foreign investment can also be detrimental to domestic firms or domestic market. As a result, the expected employment and transfer of technology may never materialize. Another concern about government policies to accumulate stock of capital is related to the resulting economic growth. Higher economic growth will not sustain forever, even if a country uses both domestic saving and foreign fund to finance the investment on capital. Capital is subject to diminishing returns. Look at the illustration here. Higher capital per labor will increase productivity, as shown by the upward sloping productivity curve here. However, with diminishing marginal productivity of capital, we can observe that when the economy at point C actually has higher capital per labor than at point A, the same increase in capital per labor results in smaller increase in productivity or output per labor. It implies that the higher economic growth may last after a certain period of time only. Interestingly, apart from the issue, in the context of two different economies, the diminishing marginal returns to capital raises the possibility of catch-up effect like this. Countries with lower starting point of capital per labor have the potential to get a higher productivity growth. Studies of international data on economic growth confirm this catch-up effect. Controlling for other variables such as the percentage of GDP devoted to investment, poor countries tend to grow at faster rates than rich countries. Okay, after talking about the policies to accumulate physical capital, let us now discuss the government policies that could affect the other sources for long-run economic growth. Education and health policies are parts of the government investment, not on physical but on human capital. Both policies are in fact the most important policies since human capital is central in economic productivity. They can produce positive externalities because once knowledge and healthy environment are there, they confer benefit to all people with no exception. With successful education and health policies, the economy may also exhibit a virtuous cycle. The smarter and the healthier the people, the more productive they are. Then with better economy, more smart and healthy people will be available in the economy. Of course, investment on education and health has never been easy. It requires so large amount of resources that make most governments partner with private sectors. In some poor countries, their education policy is also facing the brain drain phenomenon. Educated workers from the countries may move elsewhere to earn higher income. This phenomenon, to some extent, has wasted the human capital investment of the respective countries. How about the two policies here? Well, they are crucial in supporting the functioning of the economy. Without protection of property rights, for example, there is no incentive for people to invest in and innovate, or even just do economic activities. Economic costs are becoming too expensive. Political instability, on the other hand, may create uncertainty in protecting property rights and law enforcement as a whole. And free trade, it is not only needed to increase the productivity of domestic resources, but also to offer a better quality of life. Yes, of course, there's still a need for vigilance because there are always unfair trade practices out there. Lastly, we have R&D and population growth policy. There have been long debate when it comes to evaluate the impact of population growth. A larger population may lower the economic productivity as output per labor is lower, and so are the capital and the natural resources per labor. But on the other hand, higher population may also mean more workers to start with and also more scientists and engineers in the economy that could enhance the rate of technological progress. R&D policies then is essential as it may prevent a decrease in productivity and scarcity of resources that may result from the increase in population. At the end, every country wants a sustainable development. So far, we have talked about how to promote economic growth in the long run, but neither economic growth nor economic development can be sustained without the two elements here, the social and the environmental element. Economic growth without considering social elements will result in injustice, and the feeling of injustice may trigger destructive behavior from some groups of people that could ruin what has been achieved in the economy. Equitable economic growth alone, on the other hand, is not sufficient to produce a sustainable development. Non-environmental friendly activities will erode the availability of resources for economic activity in the future. Thus, it also results in a non-sustainable development. The triple bottom line for economy, social, and environment then must be implemented in a balanced and a proportionate manner. Proper and adequate institutions are needed. These institutions include formal and informal rules such as property rights that we discussed earlier, contracts, regulation, and constitutional law, as well as institutions, both government and non-government, that can guard the triple bottom line of development. So with adequate institutional development and fulfilling the triple bottom line strategy, sustainable development can be achieved. Okay, that's all I can explain about production and economic growth at the moment. Here again are the sources of long-run economic growth. Don't forget as well that the growth-promoting policies as well as the triple bottom line could affect the productivity and help achieve a sustainable economic growth. Thank you for your attention. See you again in other videos with different basic macroeconomics topics.